Okay, so we are making progress here. I know it's been a lot of moving parts and setting things up. So that's why I'm taking my time here, because it's really important that you understand at least the dynamics of how these things are done. Okay. All right. So what are we going to do next? Well, now we're ready to go back to our app module, because remember, this is where we can create the providers to create the instance of dependencies, right? The binding of dependencies that we need for Hilt. So in this case, first thing I'm going to add here, first I'm going to say add singleton, because I want to make sure that whatever we create here is going to be a singleton, meaning we just get one instance of this particular item, right? And then also I'm going to pass here add provider or provides, meaning this is going to be just something that will provide, in this case, something to the entire realm of dependencies. So in this case here, I'm going to create a function that will provide nodes DAO. Very convenient. All this is going to be used internally so that we don't have to do this ourselves. So provide nodes DAO. What we're going to pass here, I'm going to say note database as such, and then of course this will extend our note DAO like this, and then I'm going to say equal, just to set it to note database dot note DAO. So what are we doing here? Well, in this case here, I'm just saying that our provides nodes DAO. This is going to be internal, by the way. Okay, when we run this app and everything is set up, it's going to go and say app module, and it will go ahead and set up a singleton, which is going to be this provide nodes DAO, and this will provide, as the name implies, an actual node database.DAO. Because we need this DAO, remember again, because this is the data access which will give access to the database. Very good. So that's the first one. The second one, we can pass as many as we want here. Again, a singleton. And of course, it's going to provide. So provides. And then what is this going to be? Well, I'm going to say function, fun, provide. This is the important one. App database like this. So now we need to create the actual database. Remember, if we go back here, note database, we created a structure that will create the database. We haven't actually created the database. So now with app module, this is what's going to provide the creation of the database. It's going to be a singleton, right? Just one instance that will happen. And then we're going to create a database. So to create a database, we need to pass the application context. How do we get an application context? Well, we can use say application context like this. An application context, again, as the name implies, is the class that knows everything about Android application, the application class, the Android app. It knows everything about it and has access to everything. So we need that, obviously, to create database so that internally, Room will know how to create the database. So I'm going to say, name this context, and it's going to be an actual context like this, Android context like that. And this one is going to extend the note database as such. Okay. And of course, we're going to set it to say what? Well, we want this to return the room and database and invoke database builder. We're now building the database. So to build database, you notice again, this is why we needed a context. It needs a context, and the class, this is going to be the actual database class that we created. This guy here, which you will see, which knows how to create database, right? You see database entities and so forth. So we have to pass all that information. So let's start with the first ones. The first one is about in context. There we go. And the next is going to be our class, which is node database class.java, like that. And we need to pass the name of our database. So we can be anything. So I'm going to say notes underscore DB like this. And then I'm going to say dot outside. I'm going to say fall back to destructive migration. And then I'm going to say dot build. So when everything is compiled, app module will be ran by the Hilt compiler. It will come here and says app module. It's going to be a singleton, and it's going to say, okay, we're going to run this provide nodes DAO to dependencies, right? It's going to give us the DAO, and then it's going to give us the database that we need to actually be created. So it's going to go ahead and say provide app database, and it's going to create a room database using our node database class we created earlier, because this is the skeleton that says this is how it has to be constructed, right? Database, entities, this is the entity, version, and so forth. And we have that node database DAO. And you will see, let's go ahead, if you go ahead here and clean, let's just clean things up just to make sure everything is still okay. And you can see that AppModule and all of these are grayed out. That just tells us that they haven't been used yet. So all of this is actually going to be used in the background, right? We're not going to come and invoke any of this. This is going to be done by the Hilt libraries. Let's go ahead and build this, or rebuild. All right. Notice we have some issues here. That's because we changed the date format in our node screen. That's fine. Let's just go ahead and comment this out. And let's go ahead and rebuild again. We're just rebuilding the whole project to make sure that everything is okay. And because it rebuilt earlier, you can see now that provides, nodes DAO, and all of these are no longer grayed out. That means then everything that we need in the backend, Hilt went ahead and created dependencies. Everything is set up for us to use it. In fact, if you come here, you see it says Java generated. If you open that, you shouldn't ever change anything here. You can see now we have these Dagger, Hilt internal, Hilt aggregated depths, and so many things. If you open one of these, let's open the Jet node, you can see that we have everything set up, right? Oh, I lost it because the build went successfully. Let's go back. You can see we have TI. Look at that. It created the AppModule, provide database factory. All of these classes were created by Hilt and Dagger. This is good. So all the dependencies were created in the background, so we don't have to worry about it. Again, I understand that this is taking time and we have to set things up. I do get it, but believe me, this is really important because it actually saves us a lot of time and headaches as our applications grow. Okay, so we're getting closer to get to the point where we can start working back in code inside of our user interface, main activity, and so forth.